Hey everybody, my name is Jaya Palmer, and I've always wanted to grow food in space. And here's a really happy astronaut with a grow tent in the International Space Station, which is pretty cute, huh? And when I tell people that, they usually say, oh yeah, Earth first, we'll mess up the other planets later. And that's not what I want to do. I like the thought experiment of growing food in space because it's a closed system. And I don't think we're going to go up in space and harvest rocks and turn them into chem newts or take chem newts with us or something. I think it's all about closed loop cycles, right? We're into those. And so, but what we have here is Spaceship Earth. It is a closed system. Just not everyone acts like it. And there's this great quote from this astronaut. I don't know if you want to read it. He says, Edgar Mitchell says, you develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. From out there on the moon, international politics looks so petty. You want to grab a politician by the scruff of the neck and drag him 250,000 miles into space and say, look at that, you son of a bitch. So, and there's lots of astronauts who come back with this perspective, getting to look back and see everything that's ever happened to all humans ever right there. People come back with this global perspective, this higher consciousness, but we can't send everybody to space to give them that consciousness. So we have to figure out how to cultivate that on Earth without leaving. So I usually talk about plants or biological horticulture, but today I want to talk about purpose. A little about me. I'm associated with Keep It Simple and Kis Organics soil. Yeah, you guys know the stuff? Good. It's way better than last year. Everyone's like, what? It's good stuff. So I met Tad Hussey, the owner, about 5 years ago after I took a soil food web course with Elaine Ingham. And I came back looking for someone who looked at their soil under a microscope, and I found Tad. And I started running trials in this water-only soil he was developing, and it worked fantastic. And so over the course of a couple years, largely from the trials that I was running, he refined the amendment ratios, and I developed the reuse rate, so I could, or so we all could, only fertilize in between crop cycles and not have to apply any sort of fertility during the crop cycle. So water-only soil, it's easy, it's efficient, it's productive. I love it. I'm a big fan of it. So working with Kis brought me into the recreational world in Washington, and so I got to see the scale of everything. Everything had scaled up so quickly, and it was alarming. And it would kind of pushed my perception of what scale is. And I was really concerned with what can I do about it. Like, do I want to be a farmer, or do I want to market or develop soil and encourage organics that way? And I put a lot of time into developing a certification called Certified Natural Cannabis, which I didn't launch. I'm not going to do it. I learned how difficult it is to create standards and enforce the standards and market the standards so it catches on and so it pushes the industry in the right direction. So I've really changed my mind a lot from what I want to do, and I realized what I had to figure out was, what is my purpose? Why do I want to do all of these things? I was all caught up in what I was doing and not why I was doing it. So Tony Robbins has this thing he teaches about the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. Because achievement, it is a science. It's linear. Like, I want to grow this many plants and yield this much and sell it for that much, and you can achieve that. But it might not fulfill you. You know, like, how many people do you know pulled off a killer crop and then they don't want to do it again next year? So I think fulfillment is about purpose. So this is a Venn diagram that is usually you see a lot to describe Ikigai. And Ikigai is this Japanese concept that means reason for being, like the French say raison d'etre. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And so the red dot there that says purpose, that's usually says Ikigai. And it's this intersection where, like, what you love, and what you're good at and what the world needs and what you can get paid for overlap, and that's purpose, or it's a big part of your purpose. So today I'm going to introduce the concepts of the triple bottom line, the quadruple bottom line, organic 3.0, social benefit companies, and Teal Management, and how you can apply these concepts in the pursuit of sustainability and happiness. So this is the Golden Circle from Simon Sinek. He wrote a book called Start With Why, How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. And this guy's got the third most viewed video on TED Talks, and you should watch it if you haven't already. And he talks about how most companies know what they do, and good amount of people know how they do it, but they don't know why they do it. You know, why is not making money? Why is a result of your what? So for a lot of us, I think the what is grow weed or make products or market the products. How we do it are our systems, our processes, our program, and why we do it is, I think, what I encourage you to pursue or to explore why it is you do what you do. It might change what you do. Start with why. Simon Sinek. And I'll post this whole slideshow online because it's tons of pictographics and information. So yeah, Simon says it doesn't matter what you do, it matters why you do it. And people don't just buy what you do, they buy why you do it. My favorite quote from him, it's not too long. Simon Sinek says, passion is not an actionable word. It's correct that those who do what they're passionate about do better, but it's not always helpful advice. The question is, where does passion come from? Passion is a result. Passion's an energy. Passion's the feeling you have when you're engaged in something you love. Passion's the feeling you have when you'd probably do this for free and you can't believe someone pays you to do it. We mistake that passion is something we do in our private lives, but it shouldn't be done in our careers. I'm a firm believer in you are who you are, and anyone who says they're different at home than they are at work, then one of those places you're lying. The goal is to make everything you do at home or at work something you're excited to do. So the definition of sustainability is evolving because we haven't realized it yet. And this is a really common view of it nowadays, that there's these different spheres of social sustainability, economic, and environmental. And people call this the triple bottom line. People usually call it people, planet, profit. It's easy to remember the P's. Profits are obviously important. If you don't have it, you're not very sustainable. You probably won't be doing the same thing very long. Planet's what we usually talk about when we talk about sustainability. And people is about social equality or social justice, fair labor standards. And the organic movement and the fair trade movement support this in different ways. And y'all heard of permaculture? It's pretty helpful. So this is permaculture, the ethics of permaculture: earth care, people care, fair share. That's like people, profit, people, planet, profit. And so the ethics and the principles of permaculture aren't necessarily your why. They're your how you do it or what you do. It informs how you do everything. And I used to think that permaculture was my purpose. I live and breathe permaculture, everything. We're going to permaculture everything. And but it's not necessarily your why. It's something deeper than that, than these ethics. So this is the quadruple bottom line: people, planet, profit, purpose. The triple bottom line lacks accountability for why you do what you do and what brings meaning to your life. Like making money is not your purpose, providing for your family is, or paying your staff really well isn't your purpose, but your staff being healthy and happy might be part of your purpose. like living on Earth doesn't automatically give you purpose, but your love and stewardship for it does. And we'd also think of purpose as culture. Um, there's a fair amount of companies that tout that we're a triple bottom line company, but they don't necessarily honor the purpose of the staff. Like it could be the dress code, or too long of hours, or not enough influence. Like you just feel like a cog in the machine. So even these sustainable triple bottom line companies can displace purpose for people that work for it. And everyone's purpose is different, but I think for a lot of us, it's linked to our spirituality. Like we feel connected to the earth, or we feel connected to other people. We want to take care of all life. So this is another way of looking at it. Purpose could be life, earth. I was trying to write a business plan for a triple bottom line company with soul. My girlfriend would call it people, planet, profit, play. And someone said, oh, it's people, planet, profit, purpose. I'm like, oh, purpose, that's soul. That's it. So I think if we can design organizations with purpose in mind, then as they grow, they'll stay accountable to the ethics in which it was founded. The whole reason you started the company, or whatever the project is, won't move away from it and forget it. So when it comes to designing an organization, I'll read a little bit of this to you. You don't have to try to read it. When it comes to designing an organization that's purpose-driven, how do you do that? So I discovered Teal Organizations, or Teal Management. Have any of you heard of Teal? Anybody? Yeah, because I told you about it, right? So Teal Organizations, this is a guy named Frederick Laloux. He wrote a book called Reinventing Organizations. And this table is evolutionary breakthroughs in human collaboration. And it starts like a long time ago. Red organizations came about, and these are the breakthroughs were division of labor, and what kind of authority? Command authority. And examples of this are organized crime, or tribal gangs, or militias. Amber organizations were about formal roles and hierarchy. And examples of this are like the military, most government organizations, the Catholic Church. I'm not making that up. It says it there. And orange organizations were about innovation, accountability, meritocracy. Examples of this are multinational companies, investment banks, charter schools. You know, increasingly more complex, but not. It doesn't seem like it's that much more high vibe. Now we have a lot of green organizations, which are about empowerment, about stakeholders instead of shareholders. You know, like who does this company affect other than the people who invested in it? Green breakthroughs, empowerment, I already said that. So a couple examples are Ben & Jerry's, or Zappos, or Southwest Airlines, and I'd even say Whole Foods, Starbucks. And so Teal Organizations is this the emerging organizational model, and there are examples of it that already exist. I think this guy started writing the book before he knew if there were examples out there, and luckily there are. So Teal Management is about self-management and wholeness and evolutionary purpose. Like purpose could change over time, and it has to change over time. And it's about decreasing the hierarchy, and it becomes more efficient. This is the same evolutionary breakthroughs nested. And getting into Teal Management, or non-hierarchical management, means that your staff is going to make more mistakes, but they're going to learn from the mistakes in a way they won't learn from just doing as they're told and running the program. And it also will foster an environment of innovation and empowerment, and people taking ownership over being there, which I think you want them to do. And yeah, many people say I liked working there before it got so big. And this is that idea that, like, as organizations scale, they still hold true to the culture that it started out with. So a lot of this is applied to large organizations, but to bring it back to how we can do it on any scale, this is from IFOAM, which stands for the International Federation of Organic Agricultural Movements. and they're a sort of umbrella organization. I call them the certifier of certifiers. I know that's not probably right. Um, IFOAM North America. IFOAM as a whole has 800 affiliates from 100 countries. In America, some of the affiliates are Omri, Rodale, the Organic Consumers Association, Dr. Bronner's, Driscoll's. So the principles of organic agriculture, according to IFOAM, are the principles of health, ecology, fairness, and care. So this is like people, planet, profit. And care hopefully embodies purpose, but it doesn't really, it doesn't seem like it's deep enough. So some of the affiliates from IFOAM came together and put together this thing called Organic 3.0. And this is what sustainability includes according to Organic 3.0. Society, ecology, economy, culture, a lot like purpose, and accountability. And it's the idea that we have to have that companies need to have transparency. If they're really dedicated to sustainability, then they should be okay with sharing the process of like where they have to make compromises and how they're going to improve and what their goals are. So the organic movement started over 100 years ago, and the pioneers saw chemical agriculture coming into effect, and this is before the Green Revolution even happened, which is, if you don't know the Green Revolution, it's about chemical agriculture. It's not green. It increased yields, but now we're destroying topsoil and everything else. So Organic 1.0 was like sort of concept of it. Organic 2.0 happened in the 70s as we started to codify what organic means and enforce it and regulate it. And it's not achieving what we want from the organic movement. And so Organic 3.0 is the idea of how to make it more inclusive and more holistic so it can achieve worldwide adoption. This is everything that Organic 3.0 includes. Like I don't know how to point to it. Under economy, there's we have fair trade, but we have to consider how industry affects the local culture. Like we could be paying people a fair price for whatever they're creating, but is it impacting their culture negatively? Is it changing their culture, or is it making their subsistence food crop unaffordable, or is it changing the way that they organize as a community because now they're all going to a factory? Accountability, it's like what I was saying about transparency. It's not about just achieving the minimum to get certified, but being transparent in why they're doing it, how they're doing it. I think it speaks about culture here also. Yeah, culture covers community. It's like, how does it actually influence these people's day-to-day life? So this is organic sales in the US in the past 10 years. So organic food in the US is growing about 10 or 12 or 15% every year, which is great because conventional food sales are growing at 3% every year. So organic is growing much faster than conventional, but where we are now is in America, 5% of food is organic. And worldwide, 1% of land is organic. So the growth is good, but I don't think it's fast enough. There's a study that just came out called the Organic Agriculture in the 21st Century from some Wazoo researchers. And they analyzed 40 years of science comparing organic and conventional agriculture across the goals of sustainability. I'm sorry, not sustainability. They accounted for that by looking at productivity, economics, environment, and community well-being. And they concluded, for one of the first times in a peer-reviewed study, that organic agriculture can provide for our needs worldwide. So this is like science catching up to some like no-duh stuff. So organics are growing, and big corporations are picking it up. So it's great that it's catching on, but you know what happens when Walmart starts selling organic? Or Walmart wants to give people an organic option they can afford, but at the same time, they're also lobbying to change the standard or decrease the quality, or they're finding the stuff which is certified organic. It meets the word of the organic code, but it doesn't meet the soul, the heart of the organic code. So the guy who makes these, Phil Howard from Michigan State University, he's been making these for 10 years. I used to have one on my fridge like 8 years ago. I had them for a few years, and it's alarming to see the consolidation happening in organics and how that's going to steer the ethics and steer the standards of organics. So we know why sustainability is important. You know, melting ice caps are definitely an existential threat. Living in the 6th mass extinction is it's a heartbreaking loss of beauty in the world. And we get to share the planet with people like Hagedorn, the CEO of Scott's Miracle-Gro. And this guy's a real peach. Oh, can I read this? I gotta read this little part. He's like, Hagedorn compares the lawn and garden business to warfare. He says, quote, "Oh, dude, in a lot of ways, I think it's better. The way wars happen, you don't get to keep all the stuff. To me, this is one where in commercial combat, you kind of rape and pillage, and you keep all the stuff." What a guy. So this isn't just some generic, nasty corporate dude. This is the CEO of Scott's Miracle-Gro. And if you don't know, Scott's Miracle-Gro owns Hawthorne Gardening. And Hawthorne Gardening just bought Botanicare and Gavita and General Hydro and Vermicrop and some companies I haven't even heard of. So they want to, like, he literally wants to take over cannabis. This guy's like, "I'm an animal," somewhere in this quote. It's horrible. So, and Scott's Miracle-Gro is owned by Monsanto, right? Do I have this right? Yeah, Scott's Miracle-Gro is owned by Monsanto. And guess who bought Monsanto? Bayer, for $66 billion. So these guys, I mean, it's all part of the consolidation. It's the same amount of employees yesterday as it was, last year. But this is what we should be aware of if we want to keep the soul in cannabis. So this is GW Pharmaceuticals. They partnered with Monsanto like 10 years ago to produce CBD. They'll be launching in the US in 2018. They've got some high-tech stuff going on. Has anyone been following Canada licensed producers? The roll-up is happening. That's what they call it when all the big companies come in and buy up all the small ones. And Canopy Growth is leading that. They're valued at $1 billion right now. They own Tweed, Bedrocan, Metrum, some other ones. And not very organic, not very purpose-driven. Doesn't look like the coolest place to work. I mean, it's pretty dialed, but not the coolest place to work. Aurora Cannabis is another big one. They're one of the main competitors of Canopy Growth. And they're building this place called Aurora Sky, a 600,000 square foot facility, state-of-the-art, super energy efficient. And it's cool to be super energy efficient, but they're probably going to heat it with natural gas. And I don't think they're going to run it organically either. So it's groovy, it's cutting edge, right? But it's greenwashing. It's saying like, look how sustainable we are, when I don't think that's really one of their priorities. So a little bit better. Aero Farms, they're doing aeroponic, aquaponic, indoor LED lettuce. And these guys are trying to open 25 farms over the next 5 years. And if they and they say they want to be organic, but they don't have, their substrate doesn't have soil in it, compost, and so they can't get certified organic. There's some organic certifiers that'll certify hydro, which I think is not supportive of the organic principles. What's up? Yep. Totally. So the aerial parts of the plants, from the substrate up, that's organic. Like they're going to use organic pest management protocols, and that's why they want to get certified. But come on, guys, you're missing the point. If they can actually just do if they can get all the nutrient needs from aquaponics, that's great, and feed the fish organically or whatever is acceptable. I just feel like that doesn't look like the computer you use to run an organic system. That looks like newts, you know. So these guys also want to be organic. Sundrop Farms. If you want to watch some cool YouTube, Sundrop Farms. You guys are in Australia, and they've got, I think, 50 acres of glasshouse, and they've got 50 acres of heliostats, which are mirrors that track the sun through the day, and they reflect the sun back up at this tower, this sort of death ray looking thing, and it stores heat, or it stores energy in the form of heat, and so they can use that energy to create electricity or to heat the greenhouses, and they make so much energy that they make their own water. They're desalinating the ocean, which is kind of cool. You know, if they're doing it like ecologically, tomatoes, all the tomatoes for Australia. So, I mean, we probably should find some purpose-driven tomato farmers because these guys are coming to town. American, they're an American company, also trying to build big stuff. These are CAD drawings. This doesn't actually exist yet. It might end up way smaller. But American is a social benefit company. And I think social benefit companies could be a huge part of saving the world, to say it succinctly. So they're a B Corp. So to be a social benefit company, you incorporate as a social benefit company, which means like your articles of incorporation say that maximizing profit for shareholders is not your main priority. That doesn't displace some other priority. You can make decisions that aren't based primarily on profit, which is like probably most of us. So their mission is sustainable real estate development for medical cannabis. Is it going to be sustainable? I hope so. We don't know though. Another well-known social benefit company is Patagonia, and they're pretty cool. I don't know anybody who works for them, but as far as I can tell, they're one of the grooviest big companies. And they got the best weed in town, giving it away. They found this weed that they can make biopolymers out of, make wetsuits, which is pretty cool. So as a social benefit company, you just incorporate it as such. There's a company called BLab, which will certify you that you are meeting your mission. And BLab will create this report for you where they audit the environment, the workers, the customers, the community, the governments. So this could be quadruple bottom line, but BLab is more of a triple bottom line thing. Like you can serve the community by giving back to the community in different ways, but you can also give back to the community and make it look like you care, even though you don't care. You know, I don't know how much transparency they require, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So there's a guy named Toby Uznick he's the chief corporate social responsibility officer for Christie's. So this is a position now in corporations, corporate social responsibility. And he was saying that social responsibility has moved far beyond writing a check and then emotionally moving on from a cause or community in need. It's about a brand's purpose being bigger than developing its return to shareholders. Customers of all ages, especially millennials, are moving towards a state of self-actualization and looking to define their purpose and place in communities and the world. They seek relationships with brands that are doing the same within their own value set. So I don't think we should just appeal to people's values, but give them an opportunity to purchase something which expands their value set or create the availability of ethically produced X, whatever we make. So there's not cognitive dissonance in the consumer world. Cognitive dissonance is where you do something that you don't agree with, like filling up your car with gas. It's like I disagree with this, but I'm going to do it and try not to feel bad about it. So this is Maslow's pyramid, which is a psychological pictographic. It talks about you have to have basic needs met before you can work on higher consciousness things. Like you have to have your basic food, water, shelter met before you can really worry about the security of like your body and your resources and whatnot. And if you have security, you can focus on the important stuff, like the love and the relationship with your family and your friends. And moving from there, you can start to work on esteem, which is about like how you view yourself and how others view you, like really how you interact with society. And then at the top is self-actualization, creativity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts. This is like figuring out why we're here. Like, what is our purpose? Like applying this Maslow's pyramid to business, physiological stuff and safety is like, is the business profitable? Is it stable? If you got that, it's about love and belonging. Like, are you working too hard? Are you stressed out? Do you see your family enough? Like maybe you want to be half farmer and half X. Like what is a balanced life for you? Esteem is like, does your staff like you? Do you have a good relationship with the people that you work with? And self-actualization, I think, is, does your job support your purpose? So I think if we could bring self-actualization and commerce together, that could be disruptive. And disruptive is a buzzword that I like. And it's, how do I say this? I think it's usually described where a smaller company with fewer resources can challenge and compete with companies that have much more resources. It's not about your access to resources, it's about being resourceful. And let's see here, like sustaining innovation is like improving upon something that already exists, and disruptive innovation is where there's a new concept that can lead, like that can support the company against all odds. So disruptors are paradigm shifters, but now everybody wants to be disruptive. Like my startup is so disruptive, we disruptively disrupt other disruptors. And disruptive innovation is not about just being different for the sake of being different. It's about actually being innovative, something that actually changes commerce. You know, like some people think money ruins everything, which is like understandable, but that's happening. You know, the commerce is happening. Commerce is running the world, and so how do we make commerce conscious? So I think purpose-driven commerce would be great marketing too, because you can't fake purpose. You know, there's all this greenwashing I was talking about where people look clean, they look sustainable, or they want you to think that they are, but there's not, you can't ever see the real people, or you can't ever see the staff. You don't know what it's actually like working for that company. You have to do some serious Googling to actually see transparency. So this is like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people in here are purpose driven. And that's something that we can share however you want to do it, or if you just want to use it as a tool, I think it's something we can share to make us different. You know, what's our differentiator? How can we disrupt this big money market with soul, with what we have? Because right now, this is our industry. Like, we are the population of the cannabis industry, but there's big money moving in trying to snatch it all up. So this is a photo of Top Leaf Farms. Any of y'all know Top Leaf Farms in Oakland? This is Benjamin Farr, great permaculture teacher, great person. He started this project, and it's gorgeous, and it works. And it's so obvious, it's practical. It's like, put some soil on the roof. You know, there's all these open rooftops, nothing going up there. Why is it so hard to grow food in the roof? Well, ask him, because I'm sure this wasn't easy. I mean, I tried to grow food on the roof of a few places. I talked to all these apartment managers, and they're like, no, 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 we need a seismic retrofit, da 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 da, you know. But he pulled off this one, and it's pretty big too. And so I think this could be disruptive, because now if someone builds a building over here and doesn't put a green roof on it, they're kind of a chump, you know, right? Like, do some aquaponics up there too, get some bees. So I I hope this catches on. I hope this goes viral. You know, we need to make consciousness go viral. So I wish I had more examples of the good stuff, more of the disruptive stuff. But I won't go down that rabbit hole. So I've been on my journey to discover my purpose, my Ikigai. And I've got big dreams for Integral Tilth, but to start with, I'm going to start a podcast. So if you want to stay in touch, sign up for the newsletter. If you want to be interviewed, are you purpose-driven? Contact me. I want to hear your story. I want to hear your mission. I want to hear why it is you do what you do and how you got to that. I want to disrupt the unsustainable companies with shallow marketing and who think their purpose is maximizing profit. So whatever we call it, like organic, clean green, certified kind, pure, the point is that we have integrity in our ethics and our commitment to sustainability. I think Organic 3.0 could compete with Big Ag. I think that cannabis is like a sustainability incubator. Like, we geek out, and this plant is so sensitive, and we can like change this little thing and like, look how the terps came out, and like only we can tell how the terps came out. You know, it's like we're like wine tasters, but like way more chill. So the sustainable, like the fact that cannabis is an incubator in and of itself, that this is spurring technology and biological technology and just how we do business. Like, let's make business not dirty. Let's make business not a bad word. Let's make it consciousness and use the cannabis business to introduce the rest of the world to what purpose-driven commerce and purpose-driven agriculture is all about. And maybe that'll be contagious. You know, if we can make cannabis purpose-driven, yeah. If we can make cannabis purpose-driven, maybe we can make tomatoes purpose-driven, you know? Like, we gotta start. I think this is a good place to start. And I talked about like the Teal model as being a way to scale companies while keeping them true to their ethics. But maybe we don't have to scale, like as individual farmers. Maybe we can, I'm looking at cooperative models, like agricultural cooperative models, because cannabis is agriculture now. It is, it's happening, it's getting there. But so if we look at, I'm thinking with cooperative models, that could make it so farmers don't have to scale, and we can still compete in the market with the other guys, you know, the Scott's Miracle-Gro farms. And it'll serve more people's purpose. So this organic movement, the fair trade movement, the sustainability movement, whatever it is, this movement has to be a revolution. Thank you. Y'all got any questions? We can talk about weed too, like growing plants. Totally, I agree. What's Bucky? You know, Buckminster Fuller says, if we want to change the world, we don't improve upon the old system. We make a new system that makes the old one obsolete. We have to displace it. You know, if you make your own soil, if you can create your own nutrients, then you don't have to rely on buying it. And so then it's just obsolete. Like, we know how to make nutrients. Boom. Yeah. Displace the plutocratic oligarchy. Yeah. For sustainable cannabis production, if you, I mean, I'm stoked to see what the Regenerative Cannabis Network's all about. You know, people starting it are pretty groovy. So I'm hoping that's a place where we can stay in touch and, you know, like, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but we have to innovate and we have to adapt. And so I think places like that would be good for us to stay tapped into what we're all doing and how to collaborate. Like, I don't think we can all do this solo. I think we need to have power in numbers. But if you want to get into like Teal Management, all these kind of emerging organization models, there's tons, like Enlivening Edge and all these Teal mentor networks. There's it's way bigger in the EU than it is the US, but there's a lot of for online forums and like online collaborative groups that are working on this. Because there's more than just Teal. There's holacracy and there's agile management, or they call it like management 2.0, and it's complicated. You know, like how you facilitate meetings and how you deal with conflict and how you divide up roles. You know, it's all about roles rather than like job description. This is all you do. It's like, here's a job that needs to get done. Who can tackle this? And doing it on the fly, like creating those systems. If you've ever been part of a consensus process, you know it's really inefficient. And there's stuff that's just as empowering as consensus, but more efficient. So look into these emerging organizational models. I'm from Seattle, but I really want to move down here. So hit me up if you've got a sweet property for rent. But Integral Tilth, oh, it's gone now. IntegralTilth.com, you can find me through there. Integral Tilth at Gmail. You know, she asked, do you know anywhere co-op models are working yet? And so I've been scouring the internet, obviously, and looking for cooperatives that already exist. And I found like Humboldt Co-op, the Emerald Growers Co-op. What else, dude? I know you know. In Washington, I don't know. There's Green Barn Farms. Green Barn Farms, and they're like 2 or 4 farms. And it's different state by state, you know, because Washington doesn't have a distribution model, and so the processors are kind of the gatekeepers of the brands. So that exists, and we're going to see a lot more of it. And it's kind of like, do we all live in the same street and all have farms? It's pretty easy to start a co-op, but I think we should see how wide of a spread can we do this. Yeah, you got me on Maslow. Maslow is annoyed that people are pictographicing it into a pyramid. Totally. It's an easy way to like look at it and get the concept, but Maslow is like, no, it's not a pyramid. It's all these things, you know. It's like, say you're struggling, like maybe you're like living in your car for a while. That doesn't mean quit being conscious. That means, you know, maintain your spirituality no matter what hardship you go through. It is like this simultaneous thing. I like the Venn diagrams, you know. Any more questions? Cool. What? Oh, oh, sorry. What's up? Totally. It's greenwashing, you know, like being like abiding by the spirit of the law or the spirit of the code, but not, I'm sorry, the word of the code, but not the spirit of it. It's just marketing, you know, it's not actually about like supporting the organic principles. It's just about getting the sticker. Mm-hmm. That there's, or, oh, what was it? That there's organic farms that don't take care of their employees and they just want to like put a sticker on it. No, their heart's not actually in it. I think the solution to that is more transparency in the companies that really are organic and that really are dedicated to it. It was so nice to speak to you guys. You're a great, great group of people.